What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of Drawing and Exploring with me, Sam Grubb. I'm in Brazil, I'm in Rio. Today I booked for a little favela tour, so we're going up the hill a little bit. I've got a motor taxi soon. I figured I'd probably be best going with a guide and seeing what's happening, so I'm going to meet the guy here now, and then I think we're heading up and he's going to tell us what's going on, show us the community and stuff. I thought it'd be a cool video, so you're coming with me. All right, this guy here, this is Rodrigo. He was our tour guide. He's from Vidigal. And before we start, I just want to call out his tour because it was so good. It was like the best money I spent whilst I was in Brazil. Found him on Airbnb experiences, which I never used before. I always use like Get Your Guide or Viator or whatever, TripAdvisor. But he was super cool, super blessed guy. Broke it down, couldn't have done a better job of telling us all about the favela. And a couple of days later, I ended up going to chill with him at his crib in Vidigal, and we had a big barbecue. I met his wife, met a bunch of his friends, so we had a wicked time. So shout out Rodrigo, go book his tour, the link's in the description. Like I said, Airbnb experience, you won't regret it. Best money I spent when I was in Rio. So let's talk about favelas. The word favela is the name for a spiky tree. And people, when the first favela was built, I think in northeast Brazil, they took that name of the spiky tree, which was right next to where they were building, and that just become the name for the sort of neighborhood. And then obviously now the other favelas have took that name on. There's estimated that there's 13,000 favelas in all of Brazil, housing about 17 million people, which is 8% of Brazil's whole population. And in Rio alone, there's over 1,000 favelas housing around 1.3 million people, which is 20% of Rio's population. One of the rules in the favela is that they banned sunglasses. People were coming around with those Meta, you know, the Ray-Bans with the camera in. Kind of don't get those people. I think they think they're being low-key, but it's so obviously a camera. They're so thick and bulky, the frames. But anyway, the gangs in the favela said, okay, new rule, no gringos can wear sunglasses in the favela. So when we've gone in, we've had to ditch the glasses. The guide's a cool guy. He's telling us all about the favela and what's going on. He says there's certain places where we can't take photos, and there's guys just with huge guns out, just chilling. It's so nice, you feel safe. Like obviously we're with the right guy walking around, but everyone's chill, everyone's smiling. I think they realise that, you know, this is good for the area to bring in this tourist money and just let people see. And obviously it's a huge part of Brazilian culture, so it's interesting. So it's estimated anywhere between 15,000 and 25,000 people are living in Vidigal. Obviously it's hard to get an exact number. And Vidigal was founded in the 1940s. And what our tour guide Rodrigo was telling us is that in the 90s, they kind of figured out if we welcome tourism into Vidigal and don't let people get mugged or robbed and just let people have a good time, experience the culture, have a look at what's going on in the favela, they stand to make a lot more money for local businesses, just drinking in that tourist coin. Which is more than the state's ever given them. One thing that was really interesting as we were walking around was Rodrigo's pride when talking about the community, and he's talking about this big sports ground where it was kind of 2 football pitches next to each other. One of them was donated by Bundesliga and had like a livery, like a painting on the floor of the pitch. And there were pews at the back, rows of them, and picnic benches and stuff. And he said that all of this was funded by the gangsters in the area, so they take money and they put it back into the community. And it really was awesome. He said you should see it when it's popping. He says we'll have games where it's the north side of the estate versus the south side of the estate, and everyone who comes just pays like like 10 real subs, which is about £1.30. But he said that money just helps with the upkeep and the maintenance, because the problem is the state is never going to fund favelas because they want to turn their back on them. I had this feeling when I was there, right, where a lot of the community and the kind of the smile was on people's faces and how warm they were. It really reminded me of my time in Marrakesh. And when I was in Marrakesh, the area I was staying in, Bab Dukola, I ended up meeting these guys and hanging out with them all the time. And we've become really good friends. I was really teary when I left them and had to part ways with them. But it really reminded me of that, in a sense that if you embrace their way of life and embrace their culture, they're going to show that love back to you. And it's not really as dangerous as it seems if you kind of live by the code and have an understanding. Obviously there's small opportunist things that might happen, but it's not like you're going to walk out your house and get stabbed to death or something like that. And this is the thing that I found really interesting and really similar to Marrakesh. The people who live in these poor areas where they're living all stacked up on top of each other and there's 10 people in one house and stuff like that, it's almost like the state doesn't want to recognize that. And one really interesting point that Rodrigo made was, in Europe the divide is a nationals versus immigrants divide. In America it's a black-white race divide, whereas in Brazil it's a class divide. And that was again really similar to Morocco for me. You have the new money Moroccans with the French influence who almost want to ignore their brethren who live in lower class kind of dwellings and stuff like that. They want to act like those things are not going on. We're the most European country. A lot of Moroccans, what I heard from them is, oh, we're not really in Africa. And I think it's the same in Brazil. As we're walking around, we're obviously going down the right streets where you're supposed to go and stuff, but it's clear that there's been a word put out by the gangs saying, look, no funny business, no tourists get robbed in Vidigal, people can have their phones out, it's not going to be a problem. And you really felt that. You felt that community. If you bought a bottle of water from someone or a slice of cake, people were genuinely happy to have that money in the area. I felt really similar to that when I was in Morocco.
All right, time to eat some food. This was the top boy. I can't remember my man's name, but basically when we asked Rodrigo what the name of the restaurant was, he was like, the restaurant doesn't really have a name, it's just this guy's place. So big him up. Simple little place, typical kind of everyday where people might grab some food in the favela. And yeah, you pick your protein and then he's just dropping a bunch of sharers on the table. So we had spaghetti, rice, chips, fried yuca, which was really nice considering I didn't care for the flour too much. But the plate's looking healthy, and then like a little chili salsa kind of thing. The steak come with a bunch of fried onions. People were eating fish, they were eating the chicken. There was a oxtail as well, which looked good. But it was going down, real nice dining experience, and cool to sit with these guys I did the tour with. This pair were from America, and they were just super nice. I think they were from San Francisco. Yeah, look at this, the rice and the beans and stuff. Like I said, the Brazilians just love to mix up the carbs. They'll just slap it all together. And this one was a cheap munch, man. I think it was like £6.50 or something, 47.
You work in a restaurant for more than...
Also the local pride, Rodrigo, as we're walking around, he's just litter picking. He'll pick up little bits of litter and just put them in the bin. And again, he's saying, you know, the street sweepers, the cleaners, they're not going to come up here. He said the only time where we might get a fresh railing put up or a fresh lick of paint is when it's election time. And I found out yesterday that in Brazil it's mandatory to vote. Did you know that? So you have to go and vote for one of these crooks. Even if you don't believe in either of them, you have to go and register your vote. I suppose you could still spoil your paper, but even still, not great.
One with same size. No.
And there's all sorts of ways to get by in the favela. So they were talking about the water tanks. So they have these blue water tanks on a lot of the roofs, and they're saying people don't really pay for water. You kind of cut off from the system. People will deliver the water to you, and it's just one of those things where, you know, there's not really a system to make the payment. And also with the electricity, they rolled it out where you had to have this little box with a meter in it and stuff like that. But they said if you just pay the guy who comes to install it, then you've got free electricity for life. So there's ways around these things and the cost of living in the favelas. Rodrigo was telling us that an average Brazilian working wage is 1,500 real, which off the top of my head, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm gonna put it on screen now. Whereas the rent just in a normal small crib in the favela, which is cheaper the higher up the hill you get, so relatively high up the hill because you have to deal with the steps, he said you might be looking 900 real for that. So Once you take that out, he says people simply don't have money for transport and for food.
Right, let's do some drawing. So here's a photo of, if you watch the Mexico City vlogs, I was talking about Los Bochos, the Volkswagen Beetles that are all over Mexico. And there was a big Volkswagen plant in Mexico in the, I don't know when they made it, but most of the cars are from the 70s, 80s, and there's a bunch of them. So when I'm in Brazil, I'm seeing the same sort of Volkswagen, more vans than the Beetles, but they're everywhere. And I was like, you know what, I had this photo, and I've said it before, I want to draw on a car, I want to like paint a car or draw all over a car. So I thought, sod it, this would be fun just to use this as a canvas rather than just drawing on a plain page. I thought I'm gonna get it popping on here and fill the space. So yeah, getting it done, man. Using the iPad Pro, I forget what one it is. I've got a 2nd generation Apple Pencil. The software's Procreate. So yeah, nice, easy to use software. It costs like £8 or something, one-off payment. I'm thinking, God knows why they've not moved to a subscription model. Maybe because there's enough competitors on the market that they don't really need to. Maybe someone at the top doesn't believe in ripping off the little guy. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But I don't know. Yeah, getting it done. Enjoyed editing this vlog, man. It was interesting. The favela was really cool. Vidigal was really cool. But like, I don't know, I'm watching it back and I'm feeling like I'm kind of just portraying one side of it. And I feel like, Rodrigo did a good job of talking about the spirit of the favela and the people in the favela and kind of how it is. But then obviously I'm under no illusions that horrendous shit happens in favelas all the time. And certainly different ones to Vidigal, where they welcome tourists in and they kind of want you there and they want your money. I was listening to a podcast today and I heard that in one favela, they have rooftops where they're going to kill you, chuck the dead body onto the rooftop and just leave the body to decompose and let the vultures get to it. So, I mean, listen, some favelas are sketchy. Vidigal in particular, beautiful, good vibes, everyone friendly, nice, whatever. Yeah, bonkers, man. Walking around corners and seeing like people with the biggest guns I've ever seen in my life, and just like young kids in their football shirts, smoking weed and just cooking barbecue. When we first got in, there's a dude there and he's got his gun strapped on his back and he's just turning over stuff on a barbecue, and he's invited us. He said, come take some, eat some. So I tried chicken hearts. I never ate a chicken heart before, but yeah, first time for everything, and that was in one of the favelas in Rio. But yeah, it was a good vibe, man. Loved it too much. So I'm filling the space. Not the chicken heart, I didn't care for that too much. It tasted like chicken, but it was super chewy and just like, I don't know. You know, one of those things you have in your mouth where you just want to chew it and get it. Felt like a bit of a bush tucker trial. But nah, good vibes, man. And the people of Rio kind of felt safe. Like I was hearing you got more chance of getting stuck on a beach, you know, because you're just surrounded by no one and there's nothing anywhere near you. People are going to come and try and rob you there. But I don't know, got by all right. So no problems, no complaints. Can only speak of my experiences. I don't know how other people are getting on. But yeah, filling the space. I love this. I love like zooming in, doing the little details, and then zooming out and seeing the whole picture together. And I was thinking, I don't just want to do the black and white line drawing. I thought I'm going to give it like a full colour wash at the end. So listen, if you're UK based and you have a banger, some kind of car that you want a full paint job on, leave a comment, holler me, get in touch, because this is like a bucket list item. I want to illustrate all over a car and make it look really cool. So if you've got a banger sat there, even if it's just a shell with no engine in and you want the treatment, get in touch with your boy. I want to come and paint it and obviously film a video showing the process and stuff like that. Kind of want to will that one into action. What do they call it? Manifesting. I'm going to manifest it. Let's see. Is manifestation real? I feel like, you know, when people say, oh, you can do anything if you put your mind to it, they're not talking about literal anything. Like you can't just fly or turn back time or bring someone back from the dead or whatever. So it's like, you obviously can't do anything if you put your mind to it. What a stupid thing to say. So like, what is manifestation real if it's something tangible? Like say for example, I'm sitting here doing these voiceovers and I'm manifesting that I'm about to go and eat a shawarma, and that's real. But I can't manifest flying back to England in 5 minutes and going and eating my mum's cooking. So not everything's possible if you put your mind to it. Sorry to be the one to bear the bad news, but these lot are talking shit. Adding the little shadow layer in here, boom, 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 running through it. Got the white highlights as well. I got a cool commission coming as well. Imagine a guy got in touch. He's an old friend, a guy I went to college with. I'm talking nearly 20 years ago. and he's got a guitar that he wants a custom job on. So I'm thinking something like this, you know, with a black and white line drawing and like the colours underneath. I'm gonna spray paint it, sand it down, draw all over it, lacquer it. So that's coming in a future vlog. I'm really excited to work on that, and I think it's going to end up looking something a bit like this. Yeah, I'm looking at this and I thought, you know what, let me just mask off the bumper as well and draw in this section, because it looked kind of mad just left white and messy. There's the final thing. You see this dude, he does not approve. He's thinking, why are you taking a photo of me? He doesn't even know that I've mocked artwork all over his van. Big him up though. Don't know who he is. There's the final thing. You can get a better look at it here. Man, I'd love to do something like this in real life. Like I said, if you've got a vehicle and it needs a lick of paint, get in touch with your boy. Bam.
There's a Amnesty on hard drugs in the area, so the only things that they sell is weed and cocaine, and it was nuts. We got round this corner, the guy said absolutely no cameras, and there's guys with big AK machine guns, and they've got a table laid out with individually bagged up grams of weed and coke. They had a sign with LEDs and a full price list. And they're just selling like that, and the price list is so that it's not a rip-off for locals. The idea is not to rip people off, it's just to raise money and put it back in the community, which is, there's something bittersweet that it's come to that, but I don't know, it is what it is. So yeah, they had these tables laid out, and then literally there's 2 police stations in Vidigal. There's one at the bottom of the hill and one that's like halfway up the hill. And the crazy thing was, we're walking by police that are literally just 50 meters around the corner. And then you get round the corner through this little bit, you go under here, round here, and there's a full drugstore. And I guess the police are just paid off to look the other way. They'll be on the take. It's literally not worth them bothering the criminals, because they'll just get shot and hidden in the favela. So there was law and order, but not from the police, from the gun-toting local gangs. In Vidigal, he said they only sell weed and cocaine because they don't want no heroin, no fentanyl, no crack in the community. Because what happens is, that's when people start robbing, raping, trying to mug tourists and stuff like that. And he says if something like that happens, the gang's literally going to kill them, or they're going to run them out. And I got the answer why my area, Central, is so cracked out. Basically what happens is, when people rob from the area or rape or do something crazy that you'd do if you were high on crack, your 2 options are you either get killed or you get ran out the ends. And if someone gets ran out, then naturally they're going to find their way downtown to where I'm staying, and it's just swarming with homeless peeps. So it's all the crazy people who got ran out of the various favelas that are around Centro. And when I told Rodrigo where I was staying, he was like, man, I'm so sorry you're down there. So yeah, the worst of the worst, but at least now I guess I've got an answer. So I feel like I learned a lot today. I feel like, you know, it was an eye-opening experience. I was surprised by how nice the community was, and it kind of makes sense, I guess. Like, if you've got such a bad reputation, and then all of a sudden you've got people coming in and offering tours and kind of bringing tourist money into the area, it makes sense not to mess that up. So I can see why, like, it's super nice, and you know, everyone's kind of welcoming to the tourists. I guess they understand that there's money to be made. The dude was saying 15 years ago it wasn't the same. They had a different attitude. It'd be short-sighted, they'll probably rob people or whatever, whereas now it's kind of a blessing. And he, you know, he was super thankful. He was saying it's great that you guys come here and you want to learn about the local culture. And you could tell just from him talking how proud he was of where he come from. And I'd be proud too. I'm looking at it, it looks like a beautiful community. Everyone's chilling, everyone was super sweet, really nice. People offering us food and drinks and cakes and stuff like that. So what an amazing community to be a part of. The heroin thing was, he said it can take 7 generations to get out of a favela. Imagine that, you get to 5 generations of growth, and then the 5th generation want to mess it up, and you're back where you started. It's kind of hard to think about, poor guys. So yeah, a lot of food for thought and a real eye-opening experience. I didn't think I'd get to do a tour like that, and I definitely didn't think it'd be as illuminating as it was. So
Super fun experience. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. That's another episode of Drawing and Exploring in the Bag. I have no idea what the runtime is going to be like for this one. Still need to do some drawing. I guess you will have already seen that, but right now I'm realistically going to go home and draw something. So, but yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you've not already, subscribe, because I need the subscribers. And then leave a comment, let me know where you're watching from, drop an emoji flag, leave a question, go crazy, whatever. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time for another episode of Drawing and Exploring.